What's going on YouTube? So of course the Toyota RAV4 is one of the most important and popular products in the United States. And amongst the various different trim levels, historically the best-selling one has been the XLE. So today that's what we're taking a look at. This is the all-new 2026 RAV4 XLE Premium, and we want to know, is this the best RAV4 trim to buy? Let's go ahead and find out. All right, let's kick things off with a spec dump. Now, one of the big things about this all-new RAV4 is that it has moved to hybrid-exclusive powertrains. You have a traditional hybrid as standard on all models except for the GR Sport, and then you have a plug-in hybrid as well. This standard hybrid is the 5th-gen hybrid system. It's a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine with 2 electric motors. This is making 226 horsepower with front-wheel drive and 236 horsepower with all-wheel drive. Now with this new hybrid system, you can get up to 44 mpg combined with front-wheel drive. And if you choose the plug-in hybrid, you can go up to 52 miles on pure electric range.
Now, if you're looking to buy a Toyota RAV4 or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. And of course, later on, we will be taking them out for a spin to show you the performance of these powertrains.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood so that we can start out with the exterior design as well as that all-new interior. So getting into the exterior design, of course this all-new generation of the RAV4 has a fairly substantially different look from the previous generation, and it integrates a lot of Toyota's latest and greatest design elements. So you'll notice here for this trim level, we're going to have the body color grille. So it's going to go really all across the center section, and you have the little details inside here, but you don't have the chrome pieces that you get on the limited trim level. Also down here at the bottom, this will go with a matte finish instead of a silver finish that you get on the highest end limited trim level, but overall pretty similar looking. As you move from the grille into the headlight cluster, you can see that we have standard full LED headlights. These are projector LEDs, so that's a pretty high-end bulb. It's for both your low and your high beam. However, you have to get an upper-end example if you want the LED daytime running lights and turn signal indicators up here on the top and the bottom. You'll also notice that this housing is blank on this trim, and that's because you would have fog lights just on the limited trim level instead. Moving on to the wheels, the XLE Premium comes with an 18-inch alloy wheel. As you can see, it's got a gray finish to it, which I think is a good improvement over what you got on the previous generation XLE, which was just kind of a bright silver. This looks a little bit more fashionable and matches nicely with the red paint on today's example. We have a bit of squared off cladding here. It is a matte finish, and that's also going to be on the bottom part. But we still have a high gloss finish for our mirrors. And in terms of the technology you get on this, you get heating and blind spot monitoring, plus your LED turn signal.
Now, at the side of this all-new generation of RAV4, our overall vehicle length is 181 inches. That's a good size for the segment and is about an inch larger than the previous generation RAV4. As far as design touches on the XLE, it's not quite as stylish as some of the other versions. You can get blacked-out door handles on things like the Woodland, and we do have a blacked-out window surround, but I'm happy to tell you that you do still keep the roof rails. That definitely gives you a little bit more of a premium look. You just can't get things like a two-tone roof. That will be reserved for your sportier versions of the RAV4 lineup. Now, as we head around to the rear, I have to say this new RAV4 certainly looks quite classy and elegant back here. I think they've done a great job with this redesign, and I'm also happy to tell you that the XLE really doesn't cheap out on any of your features. So you have a really nice rear with a spoiler and integrated wiper through here. All of this in the center section is going to be a piano black, including your Toyota emblem, and then you have RAV4 branding. And the taillights are actually very nice. So one of the things that they've definitely improved on is the lighting in this model. So we have an LED brake light, LED turn signal, and LED reverse light even here on this XLE grade. And as we drop down to the lower fascia, this is going to be finished in a matte black plastic. And for your tow rating, the all-wheel drive versions have increased in tow capacity up to 3,500 pounds. This particular example is a front-wheel drive, so that can only tow 1,750 pounds. Now, another great thing about Toyotas is the fact that they include all of your active safety features as standard equipment on every single trim level. That, of course, will include this XLE grade, as well as things like adaptive cruise control. Just be aware you won't be able to get things like traffic jam assist. But guys, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by the level of equipment that you get on the inside. But first, If you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we have reviewed over 2,000 vehicles at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from humble to high-end, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. So like Mason was saying, I think you will be pleasantly surprised by the equipment you get here with this model. And before we hop inside, we'll see the key fob. It is a standard smart entry key fob with RAV4 branding, just like the higher end examples, meaning that you can grab behind the handle that will unlock the door. And then taking a look inside the interior, it does have a very similar appearance to the upper end limited trim level. I think especially if you choose one of the lighter color options. So as you can see on today's example, we have kind of a beige kind of finish to the interior. I like this overall look. And the seats themselves are going to be finished in Softex leatherette. That is the same seating material you get on the limited trim level. We have perforation through the center section. Some stitching details, which are not as color contrast as in that model, but still look quite nice. And the seats are still power adjustment. So you have 10 ways of power adjustment with 2-way lumbar support. You don't have memory seats on this example, and let's climb inside and look at the rest of the details. Closing up the door, let's look at the cabin materials. So we'll start out over here on the door trim. We have a leatherette across the armrest, and leatherette continues all through here and up into that section. Along the top part of the door trim, we have a hard touch plastic, so that's one detail that's a little different from the limited trim, which is soft touch plastic. As we move above, though, the entire dashboard will be finished in hard touch plastic through here and here, just like the other trim levels. And you notice that we have a color matching accent that runs across the top of the dashboard. Leatherette through here, and then the bottom parts will be hard touch as expected. And let's fire it up with the standard push button start. And with the vehicle all fired up, we can get into those individual details. One of the nice things about this next generation RAV4 is that all the trims, even the base LE trim level, get this digital gauge cluster. So this is a 12.3-inch digital cluster. It has several different ways you can reconfigure things. So if I cycle through some of our different views, I think the fan favorite, though, is going to be this view because you can put your navigation map now for the first time inside of the gauge cluster. As we pull back to the steering wheel, we've got the latest Toyota design. Almost all the trims will come with this leather wrap steering wheel, although I think the base model does leave that off. And as you can see, you've got nice boxy buttons through here that are easy for volume adjustment and things like that. It's manual, tilt, and telescoping. We don't have a heated steering wheel, though, on the XLE. Now, let's take a look at interior storage. So, this console here is included on this XLE, meaning that you can open it up from both directions and also flip it over and use it as a tray table. You can see we have plenty of space inside. It looks like we've got 3 bottles of Gatorade. So those are big bottles, and we still have space to spare. We could probably fit 4 bottles in there. Be good for soccer practice, I'm sure. And you also got your 2 cup holders right through there. A lot of storage on this section, and then you have another layer which gives you additional storage. I'm happy to show you that this model gets the wireless phone charging pad here on the left-hand side. Double wireless charging is on the limited only. And then you have the nice passenger storage shelf as well. So lots of storage solutions. This trim comes with the traditional style shifter, not the electronic one. So you just pull back forward drive, bump over here to the left if you want to shift through some simulated gear changes. No paddles on the steering wheel though. And then we go into reverse. Here's what our standard backup camera looks like. So we got to show you guys 360 camera, but this is our traditional view. I do like that it has active trajectory. Toyota says that's now a standard feature. That's something you used to have to pay extra for, was the dynamic guidelines. So that's nice that they included that. And then of course you have your electronic parking brake and auto brake hold function right there. We have, looks like 4 poverty buttons there, unfortunately, but those are just different features for the plug-in hybrid version as well as the higher end examples. We still have our drive mode controls right here in this shape that looks like a knob but is not actually a knob, and then you have some additional settings over there. One of the new things for this new generation is the fact that the climate controls are now integrated partially into the display. So you have buttons here to adjust the temperature. This is a dual zone automatic setup that's standard on all trims, as a matter of fact. And then your additional functions, though, will involve you engaging with the screen a little bit, so you can go inside of here and actually make some adjustments to some of the various settings. XLE does give you 2-stage heated seats, so I'm noticing you lose a stage of heating for some reason instead of 3 on some of the other trim levels, but it is nice to at least have the heated seats. The screen itself, let's talk about that. So this is a 10.5-inch display. Some of the higher end examples can go up now to 12.9 inches, but if you remember the previous generation, 10.5 was the largest size available, and now that's what is standard on all RAV4s. Regarding the software itself, though, it is pretty much exactly the same as the upper end example. So you have Toyota's new multimedia interface, meaning you got the new widgets, also the performance here, a lot snappier, and the graphics look a lot crisper. We even have a built-in navigation system on board, plus you have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Up top here, we've got a manual dimming mirror. And then on today's tester here, we do not have a sunroof, although I do believe a standard size is optional.
And now let's go ahead and check out the rear seats of the all-new RAV4. Now, just because this is the XLE grade really doesn't mean that anything is going to change when it comes to features back here. I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised. And we also do have quite a lot of space. So in terms of legroom, let's go ahead and hit that first. We're looking at 38 inches of legroom, almost 40 inches of headroom. The headroom is really fantastic. I think it's even better headroom, especially if you don't choose the moonroof option. That gives you a ton of headroom back here. And of course, I brought along the official Car Confections ruler. The reason I do that is so I can get a realistic knee room figure. From behind Drew's 5'8" seating position, I'm 5'9". We're looking at 8 inches of knee room. That's quite good for the segment. My feet can slide up underneath of these seats, and these seats do also recline a decent distance. I do want to mention, compared to the rivals, though, like Hyundai Tucson and Honda CR-V, this is smaller when it comes to a leg room compared to those options. Now, if we fold down the armrest, I'm happy that we still have that. We also have 2 cup holders inside, and check this out, we have 2 charging USB ports to keep both of your rear passengers happy, and rear vents down here at the bottom, so you're not going to be super hot here in the rear. So that's definitely a nice upgrade for sure. Now let's take a look at the door trim. We do have a hard touch upper part of the door trim, so that's something to keep in mind, but most of the door is actually going to be covered in that nice leatherette that's color matched. And then down at the bottom, we have a little bit more door storage. Now let's walk up to the tailgate. When it comes to this, I'm happy to tell you that we do actually have a power tailgate here on this XLE grade as well. I believe probably the only trim level that it is a manual opening would be the LE, trim level. Now, let's talk about the cargo space. So we're sitting at 38 cubic feet of space behind the second row of seats. There are not any handles to fold these seats down, so I can just reach up here and fold those down. They are 60-40 split folding rear seats. When I do that, that's going to give you your maximum of 70 cubic feet of cargo capacity. Those are pretty good figures. It's actually about 1 cubic feet larger than the previous generation RAV4. However, it's still not as big as rivals like the Honda CR-V or Hyundai Tucson. Speaking of those rivals, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. The reason you do that is because we've looked at all the compact SUVs in this segment. It's very competitive, and we've ranked them in the 10 most important categories to you all, the buyer. Things like cargo capacity, interior technology, luxury features, powertrain choices, reliability. All of that is detailed there for you on our website, and you can sort and see the best options in each of those categories. So if you want to make an informed buying decision, definitely check that out. You won't regret it. Now, back to the RAV4, let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures in case you're looking to haul something specific. From behind Drew's 5'8" seating position, 75 inches of length is what you can expect. From behind the second row, 38 inches of length. Opening is 44 inches wide. Height is a little over 30 inches, so that's pretty good. And then your load-in height is also not bad at all. We're sitting at about 28 inches. That's definitely a pretty good load-in height. And one of the things that I'm super happy to tell you about is the fact that we keep a spare tire, even despite this model being hybrid exclusive. We'll talk about that in just a second.
So under the hood of this XLE trim level, you're going to find the newly standard hybrid system. So this is Toyota's 5th generation hybrid system. It makes 226 horsepower with front wheel drive or 236 horsepower with all-wheel drive. And this hybrid system is capable of delivering up to 42 mpg combined on this trim level. Now we have very limited time with today's model, so what we're going to do right now is just cut to a test drive of the limited trim. Mechanically it is exactly the same as this model, so it'll give you a good idea of the overall driving impressions. Okay, that was 60 miles per hour with this 2026 RAV4. So, of course, the big news with this next generation RAV4 is the fact that they're moving to a full hybrid powertrain arrangement. So you have a traditional hybrid and you also have a plug-in hybrid option. We're in the traditional hybrid right now. This is going to be what the vast majority of customers will walk away from the dealership with because it is standard on almost every single trim level, 6 out of 7 trim levels. So what this is Toyota's 5th generation hybrid system. It's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine plus your electric hybrid componentry. Your total system power is 226 horsepower with front wheel drive, 236 horsepower with all-wheel drive. We're in the all-wheel drive example right now, and I have to say, I'm quite impressed with that initial acceleration.
Yeah, that's actually quite good. It's up about 17 horsepower over the previous generation RAV4 hybrid. And, you know, especially if you compare on the base gasoline side, what you used to get as standard equipment on the RAV4 without the hybrid system, this is a significant power boost. And I think really the horsepower is quite good, but also the hidden factor there is your all-electric torque. As you get off the line, it really pushes you back in your seat. And I think it's a huge upgrade over, you know, the standard gasoline setup that used to be offered on the RAV4.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, some people might be a little skeptical, right, about having a standard hybrid. Or maybe they've never had a hybrid or something like that before. But I think when you feel the power, and we'll talk about the fuel economy in just a second, those two things combined, I think, are going to be able to convince even the most skeptical of the skeptics. There's another acceleration. That time we were in the sport mode. Yeah. I'm impressed. It actually has enough torque to push you back in the seat, which is just surprising because, you know, as a standard powertrain in this segment, you just don't really get that effect.
No.
They're normally just enough power, right? But nothing that actually gives you any real heavy sensation of acceleration. That surge of torque right off the line definitely feels like a very notable improvement over both the regular RAV4 and the previous RAV4 hybrid. Now, of course, in terms of the transmission situation, this is an eCVT, which is typical for Toyota's hybrid system. And like we said, this is available with front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, which is a change from the previous model, which was just all-wheel drive in the hybrid powertrain. That's going to help you with efficiency. And that's also why there's a power discrepancy between the two, because you have a dedicated rear electric motor with the all-wheel drive system.
But this is a hybrid RAV4 after all, so what is the fuel economy? And we are sitting at 44 city, 39 highway, 42 combined. That is really good fuel economy. I believe that is also a class-leading figure when it comes to that department. Really amazing numbers there. You can also get up to 44 mpg combined with all-wheel drive on the LE and SE trim levels. And then if you get the front-wheel drive version, that's also 44 mpg combined. Almost 50 mpg on that model in the city. All right, let's speed up to 55 miles per hour so we can get our sound level reading. 58.7 decibels is the number that we have settled in as our sound level rating in the all-new RAV4. And, you know, I don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to all of the competition. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. And indeed, that is going to be not quite the quietest option in the segment, that's for sure. However, I do want to point out, obviously, we are not in our home state of Kentucky. You see all the cacti around. We are in Arizona. Super rough road surface surface on this road that we're on right now. So that definitely is contributing to a higher than average sound level reading, that's for sure. We do look forward to getting one of these back home in Kentucky to get you that official number, but for now, that's a good reference point for you. I think it's actually not a bad number, especially considering how rough this road is, and Toyota has said that for this new generation of RAV4, they've spent a little bit more time making it more insulated inside of the cabin, so that's definitely good news for those of you that are going to be taking this on road trips. It should be quite a bit quieter as compared to the previous generation, and we kind of saw that show up here with our sound level reading as well. Now, also good news is the ride quality. So we've been driving around here all morning long, and like I just said, this is a pretty rough road surface, and even if we hit big bumps in the road, I think it does a great job in terms of ride quality. Now, I have to say I was a little bit skeptical because we have the 20-inch wheels on the outside for this limited example. I thought the ride quality might be sacrificed a bit by choosing those, and I'm happy to tell you it really is not. This is still one of the very best riding options in the entire segment. We actually just spent some time with the all-new Volkswagen Tiguan that also has big 20-inch wheels, and this certainly is a step above when it comes to ride quality. It rides it really, really nicely. Also, these seats are quite comfortable. That's definitely not a given in this segment, so I'm happy to tell you all of that. It's going to be a nice, comfortable option for longer road trips.
Right, and of course, if you're looking to have the maximum in terms of ride quality, then choose a model with the 18-inch alloys. As I mentioned on the outside, the Limited actually starts with the 18-inch alloys, so that will be able to give you the best ride quality overall. And of course, when it comes to handling as well, the new RAV4 has some improvements. Although most of the platform is very similar to the outgoing generation, this always had pretty decent handling. With the Limited trim, this is more luxury focused. Obviously, some of the other models have the sport tuned suspension for a little bit more of aggression, but I think this is perfect for most people with light steering that has fast response and decent body control. I think we need to do today's slam dunk and airball. So for the slam dunk, we're going to say it really is kind of the overall strength of this model and how they improved all the key elements that I think make a RAV4 a RAV4. Its strongest things, such as having the hybrid powertrain with the best fuel economy, just gets even better. Some of the packaging, some of the design, more trim selections than ever before. I think they really paid a lot of attention to what has made the RAV4 so successful over the years and just doubled down on those elements.
Absolutely. And then on the airball side of things, what we're going to say is, especially here in the Limited example, we definitely would have liked a little bit of a nicer cabin finish. There are definitely some cheaper materials inside of this cabin, especially considering that this is going to be one of the highest priced options in the entire segment. It certainly does not have a Mazda grade cabin or, things like the new Volkswagen Tiguan that we experienced that has a much, much more luxurious cabin than what you find here on this RAV4. Now let's talk pricing for this new RAV4. Well, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of information when it comes to pricing because Toyota has not given us that at the time of us filming this video. However, we can estimate here for you. This XLE, of course, is going to have one of the lower prices in the entire RAV4 lineup. It certainly can get quite pricey on the upper end. This one's definitely going to be on the more affordable side. And one of the really cool things about this trim level is that you can, of course, get it in front-wheel drive. So previously, you couldn't get a front-wheel drive hybrid. Now you can get a front-wheel drive hybrid XLE, which will help lower that base price down. I am expecting it to be right around what the 2025 model is, considering the front-wheel drive option. So I'd expect around $36,000 to $37,000 as a starting point for this specific trim level. Now, if you're curious as to when you can snag one of these RAV4s, Toyota says they will be hitting dealership lots in December of 2025. And if you want to wait for one of the plug-in hybrid options, that will be Q1 of 2026. Now, if you're looking to buy a Toyota RAV4 or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while dealer negotiating. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment down below. Buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's talk about resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, we took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Toyota RAV4's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'd be worth 64.5% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 41.4%. Now, it's worth noting those are better than industry average for all vehicle brands. It's actually the second best resale value of any brand that we look at, so a very, very good figure, especially against all of its competition.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several reliability studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you the most holistic picture. When we take all this into account with the latest reliability data, Toyota is rated as the #1 automaker in the entire auto industry.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a big decision, so you especially want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Now, when it comes to your warranty, you do have Toyota Signature set up, a 3-year 36,000-mile basic warranty, a 5-year 60,000-mile powertrain warranty. You do also get 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the all-new 2026 Toyota RAV4, this time in the XLE trim level. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we really hope you did, we'd appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. We've also covered a lot of RAV4s on this channel, so you might want to go ahead and check out some of the other trim levels as well, and there will be more content coming soon, so be sure to stay tuned for that. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.